It's an awful feeling to feel how I do about you. I absolutely fucking hate you.
Look at that person and just think how pathetic they were, how weak they were, how brainwashed they must have been. I don't want to accept that that was me.
So we go to the door and everything is absolutely beautiful. Thinking, I think we've got to the wrong house here. These videos couldn't have come from a house like this.
Get in there! Fucking chicken in, you fat cunt. Go on, you fuck off, cook it! You lazy bastard.
This has been going on for such a long time that, you know, this is who he is. Withdrawn, broken. This is the father of your children. You know, you've been together for 20 years. Just emotionless, really. Just didn't care.
And what you're holding in your right hand?
Yeah, it looks like a sharp object.
It's a sharp object. It's a carving knife.
I'll return this, Sheree.
You do just do it. Go and screw away, you cunt.
That's another level of abuse that I still to this day can't comprehend.
Every time I looked at my sister, she couldn't look at me without starting to cry.
It is the worst case I've seen, without a shadow of a doubt. And I do think, yeah, there's a chance she would have killed him.
Did you, Bob?
It's shown me that you can go to a leafy suburb with a Jaguar on a six-figure salary and find a monster within it.
Go on, look. Say it again if you like that.
What are you on as time shown? You can believe 1561. Upon arrival, I remember distinctly there was a Jaguar on the drive, and it's a large detached property.
I literally just put the kids to bed, and then there was a knock at the door. I didn't know who it was at the time, so I come downstairs and opened the door, and it was the police. And they said, "Do you know why we're here?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I know why you're here."
Big films. His eyes were really, really sunken. I still remember he had a white shirt on, but his eyes were really like sunken into the back of his head. As we walked into the address, she was inside on the right-hand side. She was in drink. She was drunk. Is it Sheree?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No problem. I'll just let you know, Sheree, okay, just before you go any further, okay? So the time is 2010.
Yeah.
At this time, you're under arrest for common assault. She doesn't give any form of reply. She also doesn't seem shocked, which is strange. You'd expect something to be, why? What have I done? Why are you here? There was absolutely nothing of that. As we're walking up the stairs, she's kind of adjusting her nightie. That's right, yeah, you're all right. We'll just get you some gloves on. I remember covering my body camera, because I didn't feel comfortable. So we've kind of gone up the stairs. As we've come up, she's got changed. And my colleague was looking after her. I've gone to speak to Richard, which is the first time I've ever spoke to him properly. As I say, didn't say anything at the door. And I remember asking him, "Are you all right?" And he just sighs, like he just lets off this massive sigh, as if like the world had just been lifted. You're right.
Oh, really?
No.
Stop.
And then I'm sort of looking around, and I can see he's got a little bit of bruising on him, and there's a few potential marks on him. So I said, have you been assaulted? Have you been physically injured? And his reply is, not recently. We're here to look after you.
I don't want to ruin your life, though.
No, but I don't want her to ruin yours either. It's okay. So will you still be up when we come back?
Oh, yes, I'll stop you.
Yeah, perfect. No problem, mate. We'll, she's just getting dressed. We'll take her out to Clough Road, and then we'll come back and we'll have a chat. We'll go through some paperwork and stuff with you, okay?
I turned around and my eldest daughter was stood halfway down the stairs, and I could see that the police were there.
Are your children's there, so a little girl? Can you make sure your children's in bed, please?
She's going to be so upset.
So I quickly turned around to take her back upstairs, and I took her into the spare room, and she was saying, "Oh, where's Mummy going?" And I didn't know what to tell her, so I just sort of, you know, just going with the police for now, and I just had no answers to give her.
Quickly, can you shove me? Go on, you want to see?
Go. Nobody's seen you.
You have sick, mate.
They haven't.
When I shut the door and locked it, I knew that she wasn't coming back. It was like the biggest weight possible, like lifting off my shoulders, because I felt like I just felt like such a massive relief to know that at least that night that she won't be here.
For now, yeah.
Yeah, follow it down.
No.
She's laughing and joking with the custody sergeant. She's being almost, I'd argue, flirtatious with the custody sergeant. Custody sergeant's having none of it.
Are you married?
Yeah.
If your wife tried to divorce you 17 times within a year and 4 months, would you not think, hang on a minute, I'm doing something wrong?
And then it's, oh, do I have to go in a cell? Can I have a cell with a window? Can I have a cell? Can I have the door open? Can you come in with me? Yeah, I'll get it for.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'll go get your book.
I think I just pretty much stared into space for probably about 3 hours, because it seemed surreal, really. I didn't really know how to process it. I just sat there, and I think I probably put something on in the background on TV. I was just waiting then for the police to come.
Hey, apologies about the delay.
I'll wait for.
That's very nice. If it's possible for a 6-foot man to look 4 foot tall, that's how I describe him. He's hunched over, and he starts then recounting what happened. Is this the first injury that's occurred from Sheree?
No.
No. And then, if I say the gates of hell opened, everything just came out. What's happened previously?
Well, it's gone on for probably about 20 years.
And he recounts 20 years of abuse.
It's an awful feeling to feel how I do about you. I fucking hate you.
I always felt that Sheree was a really nice, kind, caring person, but she had like a dark side. She was like 5–10%. This darkness came over, and you know, she'd lash out and she'd be angry.
What's wrong with you? I told you that. I expressed how I feel. What's wrong with you?
But the 90% of the time, you know, she was kind, she was thoughtful, she was caring, she was fun. She was like almost like a perfect girlfriend. But in the background, there was always a thing that she told me about her upbringing, because she wasn't happy with certain things that her dad had done in the past. And it's quite an unstable sort of upbringing. I always felt that, you know, I could kind of make her life better.
So pathetically bored about you going, oh, I just hope something changes. Well, what will change?
I think the first time I remember any kind of drunken argument, being out drinking and come back to the flat, I remember her picking up like a lamp, a glass lamp, and throwing it on the floor and it breaking. And then she was shouting and screaming, and she was pushing me backwards.
I don't want you anymore.
And the lady who lived upstairs, she'd banged on the floor
Get away from us.
because she could hear the noise. So I'd wrote a note apologising, but Sheree wasn't happy about me writing the note and didn't want me to write it, and said, you know, it's normal for people to have arguments, and, you know, we'd had a few drinks, who cares what anyone else thinks? Almost like normalised. It's, you know, it's normal for couples to argue, we've got nothing to be sorry for.
You had no manners before. Well, fucking learn manners. So the next time I ask you to go and get me, oh, fucking it is, you're gonna jump like a cunt.
It didn't ring any alarm bells. I didn't think to myself that, you know, wow, what am I getting myself into? Is this what, you know, my life's going to become, these kind of drunken arguments? And also I thought it was probably going to be a one-off. I felt like we'd get married, we'd have children, I would make her happy. Not save her, if you like, but I just felt like I could be a positive influence to life and make up for the unhappy things in her childhood that she told me about.
Well, what will change? You know, being married to you. What will change?
I remember Sheree saying, oh, I think it's time now that we should try for children. Maybe after, I don't know, 6 months or something, of just sort of trying casually almost, and it wasn't working out. And she'd say, well, to double our chances, let's do it twice on that day. And physically, it just wasn't possible for me to do it that many times, and to do it like on demand, if you like. And then it started, some things would get nasty and saying, you know, oh, you're not a man, you know, you should be able to just do this one thing, that's all you've got to do.
Pathetic bastard. Know what I do today? I'd never have married you.
The act of having sex, it had become just something that I dreaded, because we weren't doing it out of love, we weren't doing it out of pleasure. I almost dreaded the days when we would have to do it. Went to see a specialist. So the course of treatment which was recommended was IVF. It came as a relief, because I knew then that, you know, we wouldn't need to be having, you know, intercourse all these times. And when it actually happened, you know, it was just a complete joy, and I couldn't believe how amazing she was, and how much love you could feel for something instantly. So I thought, well, that's it now. She's going to be happy. Slowly then, over time, incrementally, sort of the insults and insinuations that started to kind of creep back in.
You've got a complete fucking attitude, bitchy cunt of a wife from now on. You've had it fucking very easy. You've had it very, very nice.
I think probably things that probably affected me more than the physical attacks would be sort of more demoralising things that she would do to me. So in the kitchen we'd quite often have, you know, 12 or more eggs in a box, and then she would get a few of the eggs and she'd crack them on my head, and then she'd like push them into my face, and like she'd be so angry sometimes that, like, the eggshell would like cut into my skin. First of all, I have to go upstairs and have a shower to get all the egg and stuff out of my hair and out of my clothes. I would feel hopeless a lot of the time after things like that had happened.
Keep cleaning, you cunt. Go on, you dirty bitch. Go on, keep scrubbing, man. Scrub away, you bitch.
I would think sometimes, I don't know how it could have got to this, how could it have got from the start to being just so out of control and so horrifically bad as it had got. So I have trouble remembering a lot of specific incidents when Sheree attacked me. But one of the incidents I do remember, I think she'd been drinking. I think she maybe had a couple of bottles of wine maybe that day.
Come the fuck. Come the fuck. Come the fuck. Do something.
She started getting angry about something, I can't remember what it was. It would be something I'd done or I hadn't done. And then she just kind of got up off the sofa and she'd picked up the wine bottle. She'd come round and hit me on my ear with the wine bottle.
Sheree, fucking move at my face then. Fucking get out of it! You fucking ugly bastard.
I basically just almost ran away and went upstairs into the spare room. I took some pictures of the injuries because even for her it had gone further than it normally would. The day after that, we were in the bedroom and we were just chatting on the bed, and then I can't remember what it was. I'd said something about that I wasn't happy about. I think I'd said my ear was really hurting, and I can't believe she'd hit me on my ear on the head with a wine bottle. And then she sort of warned me and said to stop talking about it, because if I didn't stop talking about it, she was going to do something worse. And while I was on the floor, she bent down and she started punching me, and she started punching me in my ear that she'd already injured. And I was like screaming out in pain because it was like the most painful thing I've ever experienced, because it was already swollen, it was already damaged. And then she was punching it and I was begging her to stop. I was literally begging her to stop, saying, not my ear, just stop it. I was begging her to stop. And then she started kicking me in my ear. And then I will have been screaming by that time, because the pain was like not just the worst pain I've probably experienced. And then she said that if she wanted to, she could go into the bathroom and she could smash her face in the mirror and get some of the glass and then cut herself with the glass. And then she said I could ring the police, or I'll send a picture to my friend. I'll take a picture and send it to a friend or a neighbour and say that you'd done it. And then she'd say, and once I've done that, and I'll be able to get a restraining order against you so that you won't be able to see our baby. And then she'd go over to the window and she'd open the window really wide, and then she'd shout out the window, Richard, Richard, stop it, you're hitting me, stop hitting me.
Hitting me all the time! Hitting me because you're drunk! Because if you want me to be a cunt, Rich, I haven't even started.
And then she'd close the window, she'd come back up to me and say there, and she'd say, you know, I'm much cleverer than you, you'll never win. And then something just changed in me then. I thought, well, there's no way I'm gonna let that happen. So I thought, well, I'll get my own evidence then.
Get in there and cook the fucking chicken in. Get in there and cook the fucking chicken in, you fat cunt. Go on the fuck off and cook it! You lazy bastard. But you haven't, have you? That's the point.
My life changed a little bit when I was 9, when my mum died. And I kind of knew that she was ill, that things were different. It was just before Christmas and she was in bed. I just remember it being really dark and not being able to see her. My dad took me and my sister into the sitting room, and then he told us that my mum had died. And it was almost like a physical pain, almost. I remember what it was like, in that I was fighting it, like not holding back the tears. I don't know if I thought it was show weakness or because I was a boy that I shouldn't cry. And then when Sheree would say all these horrible things to me, I think I did the same thing. I could suppress it because I'd done it before when I felt upset about my mum dying. So she used to say that I was like a robot, because she knew that she could say these really hurtful things, but I wouldn't get angry, I wouldn't retaliate, I wouldn't do anything, I would just sit there. And she could say quite horrific things about my mum, and my sister saying, "Oh, I hope your sister dies from breast cancer," when she was, you know, wanting to be particularly nasty.
Hope your fat gun dies. Quick, I hope she's dead.
I wouldn't really let any of her hurtful comments really get to me, and I really like buried like my feelings of like wanting to cry and sadness, and always put on a front that I was fine, but inside I was really upset.
You know, after your mummy died, I fucking died being related to you.
Oh. Oh. Say again? That's why I didn't slam it. Just read. Just try your best.
When I first came in on duty that day, there was something about the station that was a bit different. My colleagues who were the arresting officers, they were still on duty, which was unusual. And there was just something in the air about this job that really, really touched all the officers that had been working on it overnight. So when I came on, there was already some energy about it that was different to all the other cases that I've dealt with before. To have the videos with us to prove and back up what Richard was saying is quite a unique situation to be in.
Fucking created. Fucking get your grey fuse times. Pass it at home. Is he grey yet? 9 days, is that? 2.
The first video I watched, I had to pause several times. I had to collect my emotions, my own emotions. Even when my second officer came to help me with the interviews, he could already see that I'd welled up in the morning. So there's something about those videos that I just really, that I really found emotive, really. And I struggled.
You know what? Sheree, you scared, Sheree. What are you living for? Going down, dickheads! Going down there! That's a kid's room! They're frightening every fucker! Everyone's sick of you, man! Every man says he's like a little bitch, man! Treat him like a bitch, because he is.
Sheree was already in custody at that point, so I knew that she was safe and contained. So then my main focus was on Richard and the children. We've taken away part of his structured life, and he was then left very vulnerable. So that was my main focus at that point. So we needed to get up to Richard as soon as possible.
Hi, Richard, you okay? So Dan Jenkins said I spoke to you on the phone, yeah?
And again, me and Dan, my colleague, were looking at each other thinking, I think we've got to the wrong house here. These videos couldn't have come from a house like this. It was the type of house that you took your shoes off going in, and that's what we did.
His demeanour and the way he was presenting himself, you know, he was quite obviously like a broken person. Couldn't give eye contact, you know, he kind of looked quite drawn, essentially. It was quite overwhelming, to be honest, and it was a very intense 2.5 hours.
Is that the one that I sent to Richard yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's all the videos then, yeah. Because I just a few, only 6 of it.
Yeah, 6 originally, and then we've got another figure, 34.
So Richard, throughout the investigation, was saying about how he had this evidence, and he did mention that he felt guilty about having it. He didn't understand why he had it. He didn't want to have all of this against his wife. He loved Sheree.
I knew that I had this evidence on my computer about the things that she'd done to me, and during this like honeymoon period, I'd start to feel guilty about it. And there were a couple of times during that period when I'd gone onto my computer, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna delete that evidence because it like didn't sit well with me. I thought she's been really nice. I think she's changed. She's not going to go back to how she used to be. And you know, it's horrifying if I think that if I had gone ahead and deleted that evidence now in hindsight.
Because you won't have a house to sell in a minute, so I'll break it down. You've got 500 minutes, Richard, to decide what you want to do. Because I'll fucking smash it up.
He also likes his shirt, does Richard. He likes being smart, but as he was telling us, he would know when he was going to be subjected to abuse. So he would change his clothes to a popper shirt
if I think she's going to be violent, then I quite often I'll change into my straight proper stuff, because then I know if she's violent towards me, then it's unlikely to rape me. It'll probably just pull the proper stuff. So.
I'm sorry, Richard, that's just completely flawed, mate.
I'm sorry.
That behaviour. When do you think that behaviour came? Eh? The problem is in your marriage is because of you. Couldn't fuck you. I couldn't fuck you to have a baby, man. Do you understand that? I couldn't fuck you to have a baby.
There'll be a big black square there, and you can't see it, but it's on camera, it is. So don't worry, I've got some privacy, I guarantee you that, I promise you. If you desperately need a wee, you're all right.
And my main concern at that point was, is Sheree going to come back? Because I always thought, is she going to be released on bail? Is she going to come back to the house? I thought, if they think it's 50-50, what are they going to do about the children? If they think I'm just as bad as her, you know, I'm bigger than her, I'm stronger than her, they might think, you know, I'm just as bad, I'm hitting her, I've been doing these things to her, and they might think that neither of us are fit enough to look after the children. You know, if someone had been through the same thing that I'd been through, you know, however many years it went on, and all the pain and all the attacks, all the times she attacked me, if someone was to say, you know, I couldn't take anymore, and you know, I hit them back and I punched them, I could understand it.
Get off! Get off me! That fucking room tied it. Oh, snap. Look at you now.
When the pain got too much, I would hold the hands down, and then I would physically restrain her, whether it's on the chair or possibly on the floor. Depending on what situation, I'd hold her down. And the problem was that whenever I let her go, the fact that I'd been held in her and I was controlling her in her mind stopped her from hurting me and doing what she wanted to do. She would be 10 times angrier than before. The way I would deal with things instead would be, my main priority was to make sure that I could still take the girls to school or nursery as they got a little bit older. So it would be a conscious decision for me to get myself into a fetal position and protect my my face with my hands, so that I didn't get any bruises or cuts and things on my face, so that I could still take the kids to school or nursery.
And he was disclosing all this abuse, which, you know, he may have felt ashamed of, you know, or he may feel like he was kind of responsible in some way, which I kind of felt he was alluding to. He kind of deserved it in some weird sense. But whether that's just because he's been conditioned in such a way of 20 years of abuse that he believes that he's the problem, or that in some way Sheree's right in what she's doing, which again, it just solidified that this has been going on for such a long time, that this is him essentially. You know, this is who he is. Withdrawn, broken.
Why are you going in a room? Why are you going in a room?
The videos, to an extent, they showed normality within a home, and no sort of abuse like that or domestic incident should ever be normalised. Those girls were comfortable in the house, they were happy, and yet all this horror was going on around them, and they would still play on their pads, and they would still go to their dads, and they didn't seem distressed, and yet what I was witnessing was very distressing to me.
Oh, God.
By the time, you know, we had 3 children, we were married, what could be missing, what could possibly change in our lives that was going to have an impact and make her change. So I'd kind of given up hope, thinking that she was going to change. But by that time I felt completely trapped. I felt like I was in this situation and there was no way out. I couldn't leave the relationship myself because I couldn't risk leaving the children with her. But also in the back of my mind, I know she'd been shouting things out of the window, saying that I was hurting her. I knew that she'd had these pictures of bruises on her wrists from when I've restrained her. She'd said that she'd told her certain friends that I'd hit her.
Richard wanted to hide the abuse as much as Sheree did, and he went to great lengths to do that.
I have, memories of going away to do these conferences and then having a black eye or a bust nose or bruised lip, whatever it might be, and having to pack along with my toiletries, like my shower gel and hair gel, some of Sheree's makeup. So I would have like some of her foundation, sometimes two different types of foundation, and then like a powder thing. I just think it was like, look at that person and just think how pathetic they were, how weak they were, how brainwashed they must have been. And I don't feel like that's me. But look, that's why I've disassociated it from myself. I think it's a kind of disassociated memory. I don't like thinking about it because I don't want to accept that that was me. We've been invited to a barbecue next door, and our next door neighbours are really, and they're really friendly, and we couldn't ask for better neighbours, more friendly neighbours.
And so Richard arrived with the three girls, and he said, "Oh, Sheree's probably not going to come until later." We said, "Well, that's fine." And so the evening wore on, the children were all playing, and we were all sort of chatting, just relaxing. And then suddenly, over the fence, Sheree's face appeared. And she looked a little dishevelled, the hair was in a bit of a mess. And I was just about to say hello, and she said, "Get those children to bed now." And poor Richard, I thought, oh gosh. And I said, "Are you going to be all right?" Because I didn't know anything at this time. And he said, "Yes, no, I'll be fine. I'll take the girls." I said, "Well, look, do come back, afterwards, because we're going to be here for a while."
And so Richard kind of apologised and disappeared off. And it was really when he came back that he started to open up.
And I said, "Are you all right?" And then, the whole world just really exploded.
He was struggling with the environment he was living in at home. He talked about that she would drink quite a lot.
I think she'd asked him to perhaps go to the shop for wine or something, I think it was. He hesitated and looked at her, and she said, "Right." Then she picked up a carving knife and took it outside and slashed the car tyres. And there was another awful story when the three little girls were in the back of the car. Sheree was in the passenger seat. Richard was driving, and she kicked the wing mirror, I think, and she kicked his rear view mirror, and then she proceeded to wee on the seat and said, "Sort that out."
And I remember distinctly, I kind of sat down next to him and just held his hand, because he was obviously getting quite emotional at the time, and just said, "You don't have to put up with this." And he said to me, he goes, "But I don't want to ruin anyone's life." And I can distinctly remember this, and I held his hand tight and basically just said to him, "She's ruining your life, Richard."
She would say, "You've got this, Richard," and I can still hear her saying those words in her voice in my mind. And then, because I told some people about when I went back to the house that evening, I felt a bit more stronger, ready to confront things. I remember walking in the house, I could still hear Emma's words in my mind saying, "You've got this, Richard, you've got this." Something had changed then. I felt more confident about things and recognised that things weren't right, and I felt like I could take some control back, I think. I started to feel relief. It was such a relief that I told someone about it and listened about it, and it just felt, I don't know, I felt relief to know that someone else knew what she could be like, and she'd done that many hurtful things to me. I don't think I didn't love her anymore, that anyone could reasonably call love, but I did still care about her. I didn't want anything bad to happen to her. I didn't want her to get into any trouble. I just wanted her to stop hitting me and to stop being verbally aggressive towards me, and I just wanted the abuse to stop. So shortly after that happened, Right. Sheree was in an angry state. She'd been drinking, and she'd phoned up one of my oldest friends, Tony, and she'd phoned him up, and she told him that I was drunk and I was being really argumentative, and she didn't know what to do. And she would have sounded quite drunk on the phone because it was her that was actually drunk. And he was really concerned by the phone call, so much so that he said, "Okay, I'm going to come down to see you." So I came in, we sat in the lounge, and Sheree did all the talking. She was saying, "Look, we're not getting on," and she blamed me. She said, "Oh, Richard's drinking too much, and it's causing arguments." She basically said it was all my fault. So we just sat there and listened to what she said, and then he said, "Oh, I'd like to speak to you both, separately." And Tony started walking out the room, and she mouthed to me to say, "You better not say anything." And we walked down the street, and he was saying, those things aren't right, and he asked me how I'd got the bruise on my face. And I told him that she'd done it, and I got upset about it, and then he said, "It happened before," and I says, "Yeah," and he says, "How long has it gone on for?" And I says, "Forever, really."
You didn't do that with him because you haven't got the fucking common sense to do anything artistic or creative. Did you, bud? Hey, one of them. Oh, fuck this. Look, when you go to Stacey's and tell them that you're afraid of Daddy, it's just horrible. He's a horrible, horrible little man. Then we'll get rid of him soon, won't we? Fucking where I get my arm again. Smack the fuck out of you.
And then they went away, and I thought, well, I'll send some videos of the evidence I've got of what Sheree had done to me, to Tony, and see for him to watch them and tell me. I think I said something like, "Can you tell me if I'm overreacting or if I'm doing the right thing?" Because I really didn't trust my own decision making, and I sent him the videos, and then a little bit later he gave me a call, and he said, "You're definitely not overreacting," and he said that they'd been affected quite badly by what he'd seen. He says, "I'm worried about you." He says, "It's obvious that Sheree's really drunk again. I know that she's been physically abusive towards you." And he says, "Things haven't got any better." And he says, "I don't think things are going to get any better for you." Just wait a second. So he says, "I know you don't want me to tell anyone, but he says, I've got to do what I think's the right thing to do." So he says, "I'll probably have to do something that, you might not necessarily think's good for you, you might not agree with at the time. But he says, I hope that, he says, I hope that eventually, after I've done it, that you'll forgive me, and you'll know I did it for the right reasons."
So that was without your consent, he sent him on?
Yeah. I don't blame him for that. But yeah, it was without my consent. And then I got a call from the lady saying that she'd seen the videos, and she said she thought it was some of the worst videos she's ever seen, and she was in tears when she watched it. So she said that she'd seen the fact that the two girls had witnessed it. So she said because of that, she's got a legal requirement now to take action on that.
Do you understand that, Richard?
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I've let them down.
You haven't let them down, Richard.
I would analyse the kids myself, and I got to think I probably got to a point where I would over-analyse things. So a lot of the things that behaviours they might have, a normal parents would think it would be just part of growing up. I can never think that, because I always think, is it just normal part of growing up, or is it because of what they've witnessed Sheree do to me, or what they've heard Sheree do to me? So during arguments, it would be our eldest daughter that she would say to, why do you go next door to the neighbour and tell the neighbour that Daddy's hitting Mummy, or tell them that Daddy's a nasty man. And, you know, that... and I would reassure her, I would say to her that, you know, if Mummy asks her anything, you know, when she's angry, I would say to her, it doesn't matter what you say to Mummy in front of Daddy. I used to say, you just tell Mummy what you think Mummy wants you to say. And I say, I'll always love you. So it doesn't matter what you say if in front of me to Mummy. And she'd say, okay. And then I'd say, okay. And I'd give her a wink. And then inevitably an argument would happen later on. And she would say something to her along the lines of, do you want Daddy to stay in the house, or do you want him to go? And would look at me, and obviously she wouldn't want me to go, but she would look back at Mum and say, I want Daddy to go, I want Daddy to leave. And then she would say, see, as ridiculous as it sounds, or, you know, no one wants you, everyone wants you to leave. And then when her mum wasn't looking, and she'd turn around, and then my eldest daughter then would turn and look at me, and she would smile, and then she would try and give a wink to show that she knew that I was okay with what she'd said, and she wasn't in any trouble, so that she didn't feel upset by it.
I believe he even told me once, had she have just left the abuse behind closed doors from their children, had she have just kept it separate, he wouldn't have got anyone else involved, because he felt like he was handling it. He felt like he was in control of it. He felt that he could put up with the abuse if it meant that he got the family life that he wanted and that he felt like he deserved. So he was happy, to an extent, to continue their dysfunctional family if it meant that he had a family to go home to. And it was the risk of losing that family that drove him to collect all his exhibits. He didn't want to. He didn't want to collect any evidence against his wife. He wanted his wife to turn out to be happy, and he tried to do everything he could to make her happy. They had children. It was a long journey for them. He worked really hard. He had a really stressful job. She had a stressful job as well. You know, they were both working hard to get to where they wanted to be, but they never seemed to be able to reach the destination that they were getting to. And they never got to the stage where Sheree was happy. Despite Richard, that's all he wanted to do.
Probably one of the most, you know, demoralising things would be, we were in the bedroom, and we were sat on the bed, and she told me to get off the bed, and she'd bought the bed in her credit card, and she said that that bed belonged to her, so I didn't have any right to sit on the bed. But she still wanted to argue, and I didn't want it to escalate, so I said, all right. So I sat on the floor next to the bed, and I was still chatting to her. So she sat on the bed, I'm sat on the floor chatting to her, and then she said, oh, she needs to go to the toilet, or she just got up to go to the toilet. So she went in the bathroom, and then I was just sat on the floor, facing away from where the bathroom was. And then the next minute, like, Sheree was like kind of on top of me, and then I didn't really know what was going on. And the next minute, I realised that she defecated like on my head.
You do deserve it. Go and scrub away your cunt. Clean my shit up.
To get to the level of defecating on your husband and hitting him with a wine bottle at 10 o'clock in the morning, that's another level of abuse that I still to this day can't comprehend. Yeah. No worries. Keep everything locked, Richard.
Yeah.
Okay, take care. Okay.
So after we finished with Richard, we had to leave him, which is always an uneasy thing, especially that, he's disclosed serious allegations to us, and then when I was leaving him on his own because the kids was in like school and nursery, and it was when we left the house and we got in the car, I do recall quite a lot that, it was a bit of a, what was that?
They left, and I just felt relief, really. I just felt like I'd done the right thing. I was really happy. I spoke to Tony on the phone and just told him how thankful I was, and I couldn't believe they'd done this for me. And he was saying, like, I told you, things would be all right. And then he says, as long as you're still my friend. And I was just, I said, yeah, of course I'm still your friend. I was just so thankful for what he'd done. And the next memorable thing after that was when I had to tell my parents about what had happened. So I rang my dad, said hi, Dad, and would have been able to tell that obviously I was upset on the phone and asking if I was okay. And I said, Sheree's been arrested. And he said, oh, what do you mean, what she been, why is she being arrested? And I said, it's because of things that she'd done to me. The next morning, so I knock at the door, and my parents were at the door, and my youngest sister was at the door, and so all pretty much in tears, but obviously trying not to show it. So they all came in and all gave me a really big hug and said that they've missed me and everything's going to be all right. Every time I looked at my sister, she couldn't look at me without starting to cry.
The tapes are recording. We are now being recorded for this interview. Okay. So date is Thursday, the 17th of June, 2021. We're in an interview room at Clough Road Police Station.
The interview with Sheree is really interesting, really fascinating.
She was respectful. Initially, she was quiet, but she had a bit of dignity about her. You could say.
The first opening question is, tell us about what's going on. And it really took me back, really, what Sheree was coming out with.
He's a secret drinker. I've begged him not to do that. I mean, he fell asleep with my baby on the chair. He said he leaves the baby gate open, which I'm concerned about.
So Sheree's primary complaints about Richard was that he was unsupportive. He was working a lot. He was drinking a lot. There was not one thing, really, that she said positive about Richard.
I'm sick of him making threats. I've tried to divorce him 10 times or 11 times last year. I'm sick of him saying, I'd rather pick and kill you than divorce you.
Sheree did very early on volunteer that there was abuse within the house, and she said it was more tit for tat.
Are you afraid of Richard killing you?
I don't think he would, but when he's drunk, he's violent towards me.
For a suspect to acknowledge in a suspect interview that there has been abuse, you do take a step back to that because we're not used to that sort of side.
He's gone for me and, put me on the floor or, push me through the baby gate.
She was initially trying to explain that she's the victim, that it was Richard who abuses her, controls her, and we've locked the wrong person, essentially.
He's dragged me around the bedroom by my hair.
So are you responsible for coercively controlling your husband?
I would think he's responsible for controlling me.
Deflecting a lot, really trying to not take full responsibility for her actions.
It was almost like she already had her story in place, and she was willing to tell it, but it wasn't the actual story that happened.
When she locks me out, I go to the side of the house and where the boiler is. So if it's that cold, it's not as cold because the heat comes off the boiler, so I'll sit there.
No one should ever know where a hotspot in their building is from the outside. It's a beautiful big building. He paid for that building. He paid to live in that property, and yet he knew exactly where the hotspot was on the outside to get some warmth when he used to get kicked out.
Have you bruised him? Have you bitten him?
Only when he wouldn't get off me.
So, along with the audios and the videos that he also had what I decided to call a catalogue of injuries. And you could flick through it and you could see bruises, and then 2 days later, those bruises have gone yellow, but on top of those were fresh purple bruises as well. It really did tell the depth of the abuse. It was layered on his physical skin.
When we got to the injury photos, because there was so many of them, I said to Sheree, look, I'm going to hand you a bunch of photos. These are exhibits. Can you pass my colleague Adele the ones you admit to doing, and pass me the ones you deny doing?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
No.
And she sat there with just a blank, emotionless look on her face, and she's sort of flicking through them, going, yes, I've done that one. Yes, I've done that one. And at some point she goes, no, he's exaggerating that.
I don't think all of them. Some of them. That's a bite, what he likes.
So there was bite marks, and she said that was something sexual that her and Richard were into, or there was cuts or on his wrists, and she said, oh yeah, because I had to restrain him because he was lashing out at me.
That'll have been where I've tried to push him off me.
And all this time I'm kind of sat there thinking, you know, this is the father of your children. You know, you've been together for 20 years, and, you know, having seen these injuries quite detailedly laid out to her as well, that, again, just emotionless, really, just didn't care.
Yeah, I lost him an eye on that one. Threw me phone at him.
So that ear, can we just pause at that ear photograph? So you're saying no to these?
We had a fight this night.
Yeah.
He was drunk.
She was really even in a worse state than normal, and she would be like hitting me with a wine bottle, like hitting me pretty much all over my body with a wine bottle. So I had like bruises down my arms and down my side and on my back and on my legs, pretty much everywhere.
Richard's telling us that you hit him across the head with a bottle of wine.
I did not do that.
That caused that injury.
I didn't.
You didn't. So
No.
you're denying making that injury.
I did not do the bottle of wine on his ear.
I don't think there's a part of my body that hasn't gotten bruised, and they're quite like black, dark bruises.
We were fighting, grappling over a bottle of wine. I said he was drunk enough, and he fell. They threw it on a wooden big table and hit his ear on here, or his head.
Yeah, she could sell ice to the Eskimos. She really could. She could convince you that black is white.
Richard is saying that he attended York Hospital.
Yeah.
To get some medical treatment for that. Is that true?
I said to him he should go and get that done.
Did you attend with him?
No.
No. Richard's saying that you did attend with him, and that it was agreed by yourself that he shouldn't give his names, he should give your brother's details.
No, he suggested to do that.
He suggested to do that. Why?
Because he was drunk and my brother has a drinking issue.
Okay.
But she did also warn me that if I didn't give her brother's name, that she wouldn't let me back in the house.
Richard said he was scared of you, and you told him to give your brother's details.
I didn't tell him. It was his idea to give my brother's details.
To cover up what's happened, which is you hitting him with a bottle of wine.
No.
She said it with such conviction. It's almost like she didn't leave you any choice but to believe her. It was just unbelievable to watch and to listen to.
So Richard's obviously taken a lot of photos of his injuries. Have you got any photos of your injuries?
I did, yeah.
Where's them? Where then?
In my iPhone, and he asked me to delete it, and I did. But I'm hoping you can recover it.
Okay.
So we decided that we were going to show the video, one of the videos. What we would say on that day was the most horrific. It involved Sheree having a knife to Richard's throat.
This is exhibit RH28. And this is one of a number of videos that we've been confronted. This might explain why you were arrested, if you've got any confusion as to why that's happened.
Initially, I played it without the audio, and this was accidental, just because my laptop's usually muted.
Do you recognise that room, Sheree?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Playroom.
And what you're holding in your right hand?
Yeah, it's like a sharp object.
It's a sharp object. It's a carving knife, that, Sheree. What did you do then?
You've got to push him back.
You've got a knife in your hand. What are you pushing him for with a knife in your hand? So you must know exactly what's happening here. Could you explain that to me, please?
I wanted to give him it, because he had threatened me, that he wanted to kill me. He'd rather kill me than divorce me. And I did reach for a knife, and then if he wants to kill me, just do it.
She just went into autopilot and she said, this scenario, she said, I was saying I wanted to die, and I was giving Richard the knife and saying, you're going to have to kill me because I can't live like this anymore.
Almost as if she kind of planned ahead or knew exactly what I was going to be referring to. But then that all kind of shattered, really, when I played the video back again, but with the audio.
Warned you. It's not again. I'm doing another one.
Please stop by doing what's food.
I
said I'll call it the shop. Why did you have to
no
do
one
that?
said that. Fucking attitude, man. Looking at me. Who the fuck do you think you are? Fucking dare you look at me again. Shame it takes that level of violence.
I kind of expected a bit of a reaction to that, but Sheree had a bit of a poker face, you could say.
It sounded like you said, don't you dare fucking laugh at me again. Was it Richard laughing at you, the reason why you went towards him just then?
Well, I don't know. It's just, all I can say is that he's been making threats and I've reacted.
And that's all she had to say on the matter.
Interview concluded. Time by my watch is 7:17.
So following interview, the decision was to police bail Sheree. For us to do that, she had to go to a friend's in Leeds, which was a significant way from her family home.
I felt relief before when I knew for one night she couldn't come back to the house. And when she said that she's not been able to come back to the house for, you know, months or however long that could go on, and like I'm free. I'm free from everything. I'm just free from everything that she's done to me for all this time. I'm going to be free, even if it was for having emotions on bail, regardless of what happened at the trial or whatever happened in the future. You know, it was just like massive relief, like a massive weight off my shoulders to know that she couldn't come back, she couldn't even contact me, she couldn't send me an abusive message, she couldn't ring me, she couldn't, you know, I felt like I was like protected from her, she couldn't do anything.
And when I bailed Sheree and I told her that this is what's happening and she was getting taken to Leeds and that Richard had packed an overnight bag, she turned to me and she goes, well, I hope he's packed my hair straighteners. And I just thought that was so weird. And yes, I am impartial, but there was just something in me that just had to say to her at that moment in time, your children are okay, by the way. She never, for the entire duration, she never asked how her children were or where her children were. And I just felt I couldn't help myself but bring it back down to reality, really. It's not about hair straighteners. You know, we've got a bigger picture. We've got your children. We've got the care of your children and the future of your children in this investigation. And all she wanted to talk about was her hair straighteners. And the following day when I spoke to Richard about her overnight bag, because he said, how is Sheree? I bet she was really emotional. I'm really worried for her. Even after she was arrested, even after he's opened his heart and told us everything that's happened for the last 20 years, his main concern was making sure that Sheree was okay the following day. So I had to, again, there was almost like a reality bump situation going on. I had to bring him down a bit. And I said, Richard, I said, she's not bothered about the children or about you. There was no emotion there. She asked if you'd packed her hair straighteners. With that, Richard burst out crying. And I'd only seen him for 10 minutes that morning. And I was like, gosh, if we're crying already, it's going to be a long day. But he said, I did pack her hair straighteners. He said, I knew exactly what she wanted me to pack. And he goes, and that's why I packed her hair straighteners. So in this twisted, dysfunctional family, Sheree and Richard knew each other so well, and they were so intertwined in a really twisted way, that he knew exactly where her thoughts were going to be that day. And she knew that Richard wouldn't let her down. The most significant thing that came out of that interview was that 10-day situation between the 1st and the 10th of April. And that was when Sheree used a wine bottle. And for what we believe from Richard's account, for 10 consecutive days, she repeatedly beat Richard with this wine bottle, sometimes in front of the children. And that's what caused the disfigurement of his ear. He even used the words, I thought I was going to die. He couldn't see any other way that torture for those 10 days was going to end other than his death. I think even Richard said that he wanted to die at that point. He was broken.
I picture the switch on the wall, but in my mind, I would imagine that if I pressed this switch, that like it would just be a blinding light almost, and instantly, like I would be almost like absorbed into this bright light, and I would just like disappear into this light, and then, you know, disappear from the world, really.
There were many points we thought he might break, he might stumble, he might fall down, or retract, or not want to go through the process. But credit to Richard, really, that, you know, he somehow found the strength really to push through, and whether that be his children, his friends, his family, I'm not sure, but whatever that was, he found it, and he held on to it tight, and yeah, he got there in the end.
Up until that very last day, Sheree was telling people that that she was still the victim. She was attending victim classes, and she was recalling events that was happening at her home, but she was twisting the role so that she was the victim and Richard was the suspect. Up until the very last day, up until the trial, she wanted to control the situation, and I believe that she was telling people her version of the story. The only punishment that we would be happy with would be a custodial. That is what we're aiming for. That is what Richard deserves. That is what the legislation says that these offences need. So we were expecting a custodial, but right up until the day of hearing, I was still not sure whether Sheree was going to get a custodial. On the day of the hearing, there was so much support for Richard that they had to get extra chairs in to court. There was not one single person there for Sheree. And it was at the very last minute that Sheree pleaded guilty. And that just summarises Sheree, in my opinion.
When I look at these pictures now, it's almost like looking at two different people, really. It's not the people who we are today, I guess. I don't feel like she ever planned to hurt me. I don't think... I think in the beginning, I feel that, her feelings for me and her thoughts were genuine at the beginning. And I think things got the better of her over time. The need for her to control me kind of grew. And I think I was just there for her to take things out on. I don't have any anger towards her. I don't really have any strong emotions towards her. I guess I hope the best for her future, I guess. I want the girls to know and think that the mum's having a nice, happy life. It'll make them happy.
If you or someone you know has been affected by any of the issues raised in tonight's programme, please go to channel5.com/helplines for information and support. Next, 999 critical condition.